Heyo, guys. I was gonna say y'all, but then I thought you'd be like,
Yeah.
Esther says, howdy. Hey, guys. Happy Sunday. How's your weekend going? Tom just not even gonna contribute to the discussion.
Well, I was way off the side of the damn camera. What the fuck is up with this camera?
Well, Pookie was in here fucking around. Yeah. I introduced her to, I forgot, I bought one of those, like, those gloves, you know, that pulls all their hair out and stuff.
Yeah.
And I pulled it out when she was in here, like, fucking around on my desk. And I did that, and she was like, oh, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And she was just kind of like, ha, ha. I took, like, a bunch of hair out, too. Even though, you know.
Today we're going to do a show on, like, recommendations of Southern food. Classic Southern food that those of you who've never lived in the South or maybe in other countries, you know, shit that, you know, you may want to try. And it's all simple. The recipes can be found online. Don't go for the fancy recipes. You go for the damn common ones. That's the ones we eat, you know. Shit that's just typical, which will give you a baseline on what these foods are supposed to taste like. It's all pretty much comfort food. It's all inexpensive to make. That's one of the reasons why they ended up being Southern classics. You know, food kind of comes from necessity, made out of the things that are around in this area, linked up with traditions that we have on how things are supposed to taste. It's good. It's good. Now, is this shit healthy? No. Fuck no. Fuck no. Hell no. Cooked in bacon grease.
Everything is butter.
Everything's got butter, cheese, sugar, cream.
Bacon fat.
Yeah, it's rice. It's potatoes, grits. You know, yeah. You're basically eating wallpaper paste. You know, you're eating not wallpaper paste, but you're eating glue. It's something that turns into glue when it goes in you. Very starchy. Not all the time. You can get around it. You know, you can control it through portion control. There are kind of like rich man versions of these recipes where
they can be elevated.
You can elevate them, but it's good stuff. And we're going to start off with a list of real common foods that we eat. We'll do a quick description of what they are and answer any questions you guys might have about them.
Tila said still recovering from the epic Friday night stream, right? I mean, holy crap, I can't believe that went on that long.
The T jumps in. You weren't here, T. The T jumping in.
Well, the reason that we had, because we went out last night, so
went and saw Chantel too.
Yeah, we went and saw Chantel. She was there actually.
She was there. Her husband was there.
Of the night. Yeah, because all their bikes were out there.
Yeah,
but
their bikes.
So we didn't have a chance to watch a movie. So I said, well, let's just do a food show on Sunday. And because we were at Chantel's and we had gotten chicken and waffles, I said, well, let's just do a Southern food show because we usually end up talking about that anyway. But I feel like we could maybe.
Little Boston was working there. She fucking runs up.
Little Boston.
Little Boston. That's what I'm calling her. I can't remember her name.
Katie. It's Katie. Yeah. Katie with a C.
Yeah, with a C.
C-A-I-T-Y.
I just call her Little Boston. She's a little girl from Boston. A little white girl works for Chantel. She goes, thanks for putting in for a good word for me. She said you spoke highly of me. So yeah, you're a good waitress.
She's rad.
Yeah. I thought, you know, Chantel's trying to get a good front of house. Like I had to put in a complaint about what happened for me and Jenny going there, man. We sat down and nobody even asked us for an order or a drink. And he only had two tops and a 3-top out front. And I heard the cooks in there fucking scrambling, but front of house was just sitting there fucking looking in their phones.
Like farting around.
15 minutes later, I said, fuck it, let's go. And I said, Chantel, I had to give your money to McDonald's. And she goes, you gave that shit to McDonald's? Yeah. Fucking McDonald's. And I said, I know. I wanted to give it to you, but I gave it to McDonald's. And she goes, I know exactly. She goes, those girls are gone. I fired them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess we weren't the only ones that had complained about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so good, like, to eat fucking chicken. Yeah. I mean, they, like I said, the limited menu, you know, in the middle of the night. You know, so, and they didn't have French fries last night because they had run out.
They ran out. Yeah.
So I was going to get, you know, fish and chips, but I was like, well, if they don't have French fries, I'm just going to get chicken and waffles. Again, I couldn't eat it all, but goddamn, it was so good.
We had chicken and waffles.
Yeah, we both had that.
Will was there streaming his fucking girlfriend. He streams his girlfriend live over his fucking necklace wherever he goes.
It's so funny.
He's in the army barracks. She got deployed to Kuwait.
Yeah, so she's in Kuwait. She was there with like her.
She's a major in the army.
Yeah.
She's medical staff.
It's just fun. Yeah, so Will, I don't know what he got to eat. He was getting fish, but then he had cake also. He had red velvet cake and
2 red velvet
and carrot cake.
Yeah. He buys her red velvet cake and carrot cake, which that should be on the list because red velvet cake is a Southern classic.
It is. I love red velvet cake. I love carrot cake also. Actually, pretty much any kind of cake is good.
Now, chicken and waffles is catching on.
Tila said, "How was the chicken and waffles?" Their chicken and waffles is like delicious.
Great. What's good about it is that her staff does not overcook any of this stuff, so the chicken comes out. It's fucking hot and juicy. If it's fish, it's cooked just right. It's not. It's not dry. Same thing with shrimp. They cook shrimp to perfection. Shrimp should have a certain pop to it. You know, if it overcooks, it becomes hard like a bullet. You don't want that. So they don't overcook things, which used to be kind of a problem with Southern food and soul food, which there's a lot of crossover. That was mostly our parents' and grandparents' generation that overcooked things, though. And it was for safety reasons.
Yeah, especially pork chops. Like I said, and I was talking about this, you know, in the cookbook. I was like, when I was growing up, I was always like, oh, we're having pork chops for dinner. I thought I didn't like pork chops for like a really long time because they were always overcooked. I was afraid of trichinosis. Yeah,
but the older generations, you could give a Southerner or a black person for that matter, you could give them a perfectly good pork tenderloin and they just fucking cook it into fucking shoe leather.
Yeah, which is a shame because pork chops, when cooked correctly, are delightful.
Same thing with beef. They would cook shit so well. You could give them a filet mignon and they cook that shit well done. Like, no. Like Darth Vader.
Why are you ruining it?
Yeah, filet mignon is always medium rare.
Well, the thing about it is that, I mean, even as a kid, I was always like I'm a rare motherfucker. I want like some rare ass meat. Even hamburgers, steaks, everything. Yeah. So it's like my grandma would get very, very grossed out, like if we were having steaks or whatever, and I'm just like, run a match under that shit. That's what I don't know why. I just really, really like. She's like, it's so gross. Look at like the blood and everything.
There's a certain element of Southern culture that's paranoid if anything's rare or medium rare. They go, oh, it's got blood in it. And, same thing with African Americans too, but no, so high quality cuts of meat should be medium rare or rare. It's cooked. It's just, it should give off a little bit of au jus, which is cooked blood. It's juices, but it's like a gravy, Yeah. And, if you have to cook that shit well done, you're really cooking it well done because it's a bad piece of meat. It's something tough, So you have to fucking over braise it or fucking slow cook it till it becomes tender, It's a safety thing, or it's because it's a low quality cut of meat. Anything high quality, it's medium rare or rare.
Well, yeah, because you can't
that's why you paid that extra money.
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to be able to taste the meat and the marbling and everything like that. You can't make it all fucking tough and everything. You're just ruining it. Yeah. And another thing that a lot of Southerners did too was they would boil vegetables to death
until it became paste.
Until it was just like it kind of lost all the flavor and stuff like that. So like I said, for a long time when I was a kid too, I didn't think that I liked spinach or broccoli or anything like that, just because
until you've had it raw.
Yeah, until you've eaten it raw. Like the one time, like I ate spinach raw, in a salad, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is really good." Yeah. I just hated it when I was a kid because it was like so fucking slimy.
My first positive experience with spinach was in a wilted spinach salad.
Yeah.
Which you just take spinach and you fucking cook it in bacon grease, and it's bacon drippings, bacon bits, and I think it was red wine vinegar. Yeah. I think it might have a slight touch of sugar in it, and then the things that I forgot what else went in wilted salad, and you just toss it and it just slightly wilts and it's a warm salad. It's fucking great.
It is
bacony with a little slight of vinegar. I haven't had it in a long time. It makes you want to make it now.
That would be
wilted
good.
Spinach salad.
Man, bacon makes everything better.
Yeah. Okay,
that's one thing the Southerners got right. Like they cook everything in bacon grease.
Yeah.
That's when I used to go. When I'd stay at my mom's house and stuff like that, and she always made fried eggs in bacon grease and pancakes in bacon grease and everything like that. And it's like
Kayla's chiming in, going, overcooking until all the nutrients have evaporated. It is just fucking filling the belly and palate on. Yeah. And then you're leaving behind all the nutrients in the damn water that you boiled it in.
Yeah.
And then half the time they threw that shit out. The other half of the time you keep it as pot liquor.
Yeah.
Cook something else in it, but which is pot liquor is just a southern term for broth, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's just the broth left over after you cook
Right.
something, whether it's meat or vegetables or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, well, sometimes you can, like I said, you can make, if you make collard greens or something like that, like a lot of times they'll keep that so they can make like a little sauce with it.
Yeah, pot liquor. So let's go ahead and go through the list. Let's see what you got a list pulled up over there.
I do actually.
Okay.
This is one, you just picked this one because the Wikipedia one is like too complicated.
Right.
So like forgive how
they
bright
want.
the
Wikipedia one wants to go through regions and this thing.
Well, it's a Wikipedia article.
Regions is a factor, but for general consumption, it's just the top ones matter the most, really.
Yeah.
What's the most popular? Because it's popular not only in our region, which is just the South. People outside the regions would like it too. I mean, there's certain shit that people in other countries and other regions just not gonna like chitlins and shit. Chitlins fucking stink the entire house up. They're good. But you gotta clean them properly. They gotta be boiled and then deep fried.
A lot of Southerners don't like chitlins either.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. They are very divisive.
Chitlins
dish.
Was because it was a thing of necessity. They were around. It's like it's pork and large intestines from a pork, pig intestines. Not a lot there to work with, but nowadays you can have them kind of like you'd have chicken wings, big plate of them fucking fried and the dip, that's really the only way I would ever eat something like that. They'd have to be done right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because some chitlins are fucking, no, I wouldn't eat that. You can smell it fucking 20 feet away. You're like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, that's nature's way of telling you not to eat that.
Not that.
But, yeah, Esther said bacon should be its own food group. Yeah,
I think it is.
It might as well be.
It's at the top of the food pyramid.
Yeah. It makes everything good. Yeah. You just put bacon on everything. Tila says, I hate any canned vegetable. I grew up with canned green beans. Yeah, hated it. Yeah. Once I had fresh sauteed green beans, I was hooked. Throwing some garlic. Yeah, exactly.
Canned green beans are the damn generic canned food for all times. If you pick a random can out of a pile of fucking canned food, probably a green bean. And you don't want it.
Yeah, it's always kind of like, I mean, whenever you had like the Southern dinner or whatever, you always had like a meat dish. So you had like pork chops or whatever. You always had a starch, which was usually potatoes of some kind, mashed potatoes, scalloped potatoes, whatever. And then you just, for health reasons, you'd have a couple sides, usually green beans and corn, but it was always out of a can.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's because that's what was available. And that shit's retro as shit. That goes back to the 40s and the 50s. And that was something that your grandmother still thought was good. She was giving it to you. Yeah. And the idea of a fresh green bean, they weren't even sure that those existed. You mean they don't come in cans? So, no,
I thought they grew in there.
I'm actually lying now. To tell a good story because they also fucking grew butter beans and green beans out in the backyard.
We had fresh green beans sometimes because I remember shelling beans and peas and stuff like that with my grandma. But we usually had canned.
Most working class Southerners, doesn't matter if they're white or they're black, fucking Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle, Kentucky, Central and Northern Louisiana, they descend from sharecropping families. Even when sharecropping was not a profitable business, you couldn't really sell it, they did it on the side to have extra food. So when you saw the house out in the back was a fucking garden, it might have corn, it might have watermelons, they just say, well, why not? Because they knew how to do it, so they just were getting free food, and particularly in this climate, it's like real easy to grow shit, especially like tomatoes. Pretty much everybody I knew had at least some tomatoes grown somewhere in the yard. So it was like handed down as family traditions. Now all that kind of started to go away in the 80s. Later part of the 80s, it started to fade away, where a more mainstream middle class type expectations started to kind of supplant the idea that every house had to have a damn fucking garden behind it with food. Who knows, might come back, because I'll tell you what, they survived depressions and civil wars and fucking ethnic conflict. They were living like that for fucking 200 years. More, actually, because some of that shit predated the United States. Back when Spain controlled most of this area. That's how everybody pretty much lived. You had your normal job, and then you grew food. You know, did it both at the same time. You might be a blacksmith, but you also grew food. Or your wife was out there growing. That was like, yeah, women worked. Women worked. They just didn't work in a corporate environment. They worked because they were fucking taking care of kids and growing food. Fucking fixing shit, maintaining things. The guy might be out, might be a blacksmith, might be building wagon wheels, or he might be running around, executing some kind of contract. Everybody worked. There was no such thing as not working. Everybody fucking
Unless
worked.
you had shit tons of money.
Unless you were fucking super rich. Other people worked for you. And the South was kind of a lot like, up until very recently, they post fucking Reconstruction, okay? The Southern culture was a lot like feudal Japan. It was dominated by plantations and big business owners. A lot of them came originally from the North. They were like our equivalent of the daimyo. Everybody else was like some kind of a peasant. But it was like the Wild West at the same time too. But the way the society was organized, it was kind of structured along lines of a fucking agriculture, and a lot like Japan, a lot like feudal Japan. So the people were like that too. You grew food and you worked for somebody and you went back home and you grew food. And this is the food that came up with, basically, that evolved into this.
Do you want to just go by this list?
Let's just go by that list.
Because I think the first one's a dessert.
Okay, it's fine.
Peach cobbler.
Peach cobbler. Peach cobbler's been made going back probably the 40s, 30s maybe. Canning peaches probably goes back to canning peaches. And we could probably look back to when they started doing that. That might have been 20s or 30s, actually. Which means that they were making it back then. Prior to refrigeration, things were canned. Peach survived the canning process pretty well. And you can make a fantastic dessert just in any kind of oven. You don't even need temperature control. You can make a peach cobbler. The recipes are easy to find. Usually what it is most of them are now based in self-rising flour. You mix a few ingredients together, put it in the bottom of a pan. Usually the pan's been buttered, and then pour a couple of cans of peaches along with the syrup on it. Put it in the oven, and the breading rises up out of all that swamp of peaches and peach juice to make a crispy covering on the top of it of lightly browned cake, basically. And it's usually got cinnamon and sugary, and you just take a damn spoon and scrape some of it off, and you put it into a bowl and put some whipped cream on top of it.
Or vanilla ice cream.
Or vanilla ice cream. Especially when it's hot. Okay, you want hot cobbler with cold whipped cream or vanilla ice cream on it. That's a Southern fucking classic. Is it good? Hell yes, it's good. Hell yes. Very easy and inexpensive to make.
It is. I thought, well, nowadays when my grandma made it, she always made it with Bisquick and canned peaches.
Yeah.
So Bisquick, I think there might even be a recipe on the side. You can do it with berries too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so did you want to talk about red velvet cake a little bit?
Like what's coming next?
No, but
okay.
Like while we're on dessert.
You can talk about red velvet cake. Yeah, go ahead and talk.
Well,
about
I don't really know. You know what I mean?
You don't really know much about red velvet.
Well, I do, but it's like I don't really know like how to.
Red velvet cake is a heavy cake that's easy to make. Comes with a white frosting on it. I think it's normally sour cream or not sour cream cheese based frosting on it. It's red because usually there's tomato paste in it, or sometimes just ketchup. And there's a bunch of different recipes for it.
Or red food coloring. I think it's more common nowadays.
Most people will tell you that the ones with tomato in it is the best.
Yeah, it sounds weird like putting ketchup or tomato sauce in cake, but it does actually work. It doesn't make your cake taste like tomatoes.
No, it doesn't taste like tomatoes at all. But what it does is it gives a deep red color to it, almost kind of like a purplish color. And it's very moist and very fucking heavy, real good. Now, not as fucking moist as say it's like an angel food cake, but it's fucking dark red, and there'll be some moisture to it. It's rich, really good.
And it's kind of like a little bit of a chocolatey
kind of a taste
to it.
Yeah.
But not quite.
I don't think there's any chocolate in it.
Not quite like a chocolate cake, but it tastes kind of like chocolate.
Kind of like a chocolate cake, yeah.
And I love the frosting on it.
Yeah, it mixes with that frosting real well.
Oh yeah, big time. But yeah, so that's another one. I feel like that's kind of a popular. That's gotten real popular, especially like after that big cupcake explosion.
Yeah. Okay. Now deviled eggs.
All right. Well, there was fried chicken, but then you want to do
Yeah,
that?
okay. Everybody knows about fried chicken.
That's
Fried
true.
chicken's a Southern classic. Okay, and that's all common around the world. The only difference for us would be maybe like the seasoning blends that would be in the flour that you're going to roll the chicken in. That would be the only differences, whether or not it's deep fried or pan fried. We don't normally deep fry it in the same way where, you know what I mean, where you're with a whole deep fryer basket like you do in a restaurant. No, it's usually just in like a inch of oil in a pan, maybe a half inch of oil, flip it over. That's usually how we do it.
And I think there's different ways that people do it, because some people will season the chicken and not the breading, or some people will do the breading and not the chicken. Some people do both things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just kind of depends, I guess, on like what kind of.
It's just egg wash, and then you just roll it in flour that's been seasoned. The basic flat seasoning would just be, salt and pepper. A lot of people with salt and pepper with Cajun seasoning, salt and pepper with maybe cayenne, salt and pepper with something that would be kind of like, would give it that kind of like the Colonel Sanders original recipe, which is going to have probably stuff like, I think there might be some, what do you think? I think there's some sage in that.
I was going to say, I think it's
there's
sage.
some, yeah.
It's a trade secret.
It's a trade secret, but I'm sure someone has replicated it pretty close. You can just look it up.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Deviled eggs would be the next one. That was just like a real common summertime snack that something like a grandma would make. You hard-boiled an egg, cut them in half, take the yolks out, put them all in a bowl, mix it up with a little bit of, mayonnaise and a little bit of mustard, whip it. There's some other seasonings that you can put in there, and then you take a spoon and just ladle it back into the damn eggs.
Or if you wanted to be fancy, you could put it in one of those like frosting.
Yeah,
where you could like spray it and make it all, because that's how my grandma used to do it.
Now you can cheat though. You can take all your egg mixture or whatever you're filling and put it in a Ziploc bag. Knock all the air out of it and take scissors and cut the corner of it out, and you can just squeeze it in there. Now that's the same thing. Making a pastry bag.
Yeah.
You can do it with a Ziploc bag.
I mean, essentially,
it's faster.
I remember, like, every time we had a big do, like, over at my grandmother's house, which usually like Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff, you always had to have a platter of deviled eggs.
Yeah.
With, paprika on them. And you always had to have a pickle tray.
Yeah.
And then you had the sour pickles on one side and the sweet pickles on the other side.
And there might be pickled cauliflower and pickled slices of, little carrots and stuff. Maybe pimentos, pickled pimentos.
You should talk about pimentos.
If you were real fucking hardcore, you had some pickled pig's feet on there too.
Yeah, we never did that, but my grandma loved
pickled
those.
eggs. Now, another thing that would be in that deviled egg mixture would be some kind of a relish or some kind of a diced up pickles, and there was always this little difference. Well, my pickles are such and such pickles, or my thing. There's always somebody had their own.
Everyone's got to fight.
Mine's like this. I don't use pickles. I'm using diced cucumber. And just shit like that. You know what I mean? And then once they're all done on the plate, you dust them with paprika and chill them. They have to be chilled. Although some people do like them hot.
Yeah.
They're better chilled.
I think so.
Yeah, and you can put a little bit of Tabasco sauce on them and pop them down.
It's funny because when I was growing up, I liked fried eggs, but I wasn't a big hard-boiled egg fan. I think it was when I got older, because I wouldn't even really eat deviled eggs. I'd be like, oh, gross. You know what I mean? But like, I like fried eggs, but not anything else.
Yeah.
But when I got older, I was just kind of like, what the fuck was I even thinking? These things are fucking delicious.
They're great. And one of the reasons why it became so popular in Southern cooking is, like I said, these people had sharecropper roots. Even the king, Elvis Presley, his parents were sharecropper. Usually, at least one of those families on that block had a chicken coop. A lot of them had several chicken coops. You know what I mean? Between 4 houses, maybe 2 of them had chicken coops. And they just traded eggs for other stuff. Like, yeah, give me some Walmarts, here's some eggs. So eggs were just abundant. If you have some chickens, you got more eggs than you can eat. So you got to do something with them. So you're making bread.
I mean, honestly, I love eggs.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
And I mean, we go to Sam's and buy that big fucking carton of it.
We buy big crates of eggs
because we go through a lot of eggs.
Go through a lot of eggs, I mean, and it's just cheaper to buy them in mass.
Well, you can do so much shit with them, and they're actually really nutritious, and they're really versatile, and they're not real fattening, and they're real filling.
I got these water pots. You can put water in there and turn it on, and it'll boil water for making tea and stuff.
Yeah, like everybody in the UK has one of those. But in the US, it's not real common.
Not real common.
We have one, though.
What I'll do is I'll take a dozen eggs and put them in there and fill it up full of water and turn it on and let them boil, and it shuts itself off. Just let it sit there.
Yeah.
Come back 20 minutes later, and you'll have perfectly hard-boiled eggs inside that thing to pour all the water out. You don't have to watch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And put them in the refrigerator.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, breakfast time. Like, pop out a couple hard-boiled eggs.
They're already pre-boiled.
And, and then that's good, too, because when you have pre-hard-boiled eggs just in the fridge, you make ramen noodles, you can pop that shit in there. You make some grits, you can pop that shit in there. Yeah. They go good in everything.
Pre-cooking.
Yeah.
Pre-cooked things when you can get away with it. That way you have a stock of pre-cooked ingredients.
Yeah, I especially
speeds everything up.
Put them on, and you can cut them up and put them on salads too. I like to do that also.
Yep, grate them.
Yeah, and I also, like I said, I really like them in ramen noodles too.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about? I think it was later on down the list, but you mentioned it. So, do you want to talk about pimento cheese?
Yes. Okay.
Here's one thing that I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah, she's not a fan of it.
My grandma loved it. I'll eat it, but I'm not crazy about it.
It didn't end up in the cookbook, but no matter where
we forgot about it.
Forgot about it. It's an important Southern kind of component to things. It's called pimento cheese. Pimento cheese spread.
I would say Esther said, "I love your shirt, Jenny. Thank you." Yeah, I forgot I had this.
Yeah.
I haven't worn it in such a long time.
Pimento cheese is nothing more than grated cheddar cheese with diced pimentos in it, those little red things. We were getting them out of a jar. And mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's pretty
stirred up. Now, some people will add certain kind of spices. All right. They might put cayenne pepper in it. They might put Cajun seasoning in it. But the basic is none at all. It's just grated cheese. Use some type of cheddar, okay? Although there's variations of that. There's a bunch of recipes on there, but the basic is sharp cheddar cheese, grated. Bunch of diced pimentos, and then you put mayo in it and stir it. And then it stores like that. You can put it back in the refrigerator, and you spread it on toast and make a quick sandwich. It's fantastic. Is it healthy? Fuck no. No.
Yeah, it's cheese and mayonnaise.
It's cheese and mayonnaise. Tastes great. Especially after it's chilled and kind of cured for a day in there, and then you can use it as a spread on prepared things.
You put it on crackers and stuff.
Well, none of that. You can put it on a hot dog. You can put it on a fucking hot dog for a kielbasa dog. You can put it on a hamburger. It's a bunch of stuff you can do with
that too.
All right.
Yeah, it's like a condiment.
It's like a condiment.
Maybe I could add it, but I could add it like in a little condiment box.
Yeah,
I'll stick it in there somewhere.
My dad used to put it on top of fucking hamburgers.
I'm gonna write that down so I remember.
He used to put it on top of them fried chicken sandwiches. It's really good.
You know what? It might be good on something.
Yeah,
I think the reason why, because you made it a few times.
You don't tell it's just basic, very basic.
Yeah, and it's like, I remember when I was growing up, I was always just kind of like, because sometimes my grandmother would make it, or sometimes she would buy it, like it would come in like a little tub. Like nowadays you get a little tub like that has like fucking, what do you call it? Hummus in it.
Yeah.
So it was like that type of thing. Right. And she would just eat it like on white bread. She didn't even toast the bread. She just ate it like that. And she just thought I was like, that is so disgusting. Yeah. So, but it's like, but you made it recently, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll eat it and it won't be the same as when I was a kid, because, there was a lot of shit I wouldn't eat it as a kid that now is good, but I still couldn't get behind it. But I could probably get behind it because I like all three of the components.
Yeah.
But I think that I just don't like it. It seems too bland.
You don't like it on its own.
On its own, like on a sandwich. I don't want that. That seems kind of yucky. But putting it on fried chicken or like a burger or something, that would probably be good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a Southern classic. It just has to, now there's other things that kind of come and go. Some of these things stick, and some of these things don't. And everybody knows, T can back me up on this. Most Southern cooking at one time or another started off as soul food. Yeah, it was something black people invented. All right, that white people went, yeah, that's good, and then they incorporated it.
Yeah, give us some of that.
It went the other way too. There was, you know what I mean. It went both ways. But the thing right now that I'm not sure I can get on board with, this is some Mississippi shit as hell. All right, they were making videos about it, and I'm going like, I don't know if I'm on board with that. Black people taking basically a fried fish sandwich, like a fillet of fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And putting cookies and cream ice cream on it. Yeah. And they say this shit is good as hell, and they're like, yeah, and it's like a fad thing that's happening.
Either that or they're trolling everyone.
See, that was the thing. You see black people
Let's see
eating
what
it.
would make these morons eat.
But they were saying, we see if we can get these white people to eat this shit. Because you know how it is. They're gonna troll a white boy. You know? They're gonna. But they were fucking at least pretending like they liked it. But honestly, that might be a troll.
It has to be cookies and cream ice cream?
It was cookies and cream, ice cream on a damn fillet of fish sandwich, basically. But it was a homemade fillet of fish.
Okay, it's weird, but I'm not as grossed out about it as maybe I should be.
See, T's freaking out. What the fuck?
Work. It might work.
Like, what the fuck? Fish on ice cream on a fish sandwich. Yeah, that's what they were eating.
It might work.
And
it might not. I can't really imagine what that would taste like.
Black chick was eating it, and she's going, "This is Mississippi as hell, y'all." And she's going, "Damn, this is good."
Well, shit. Now we're gonna have to try.
Where are they trolling? I don't know. That'd be funny if it was. Let's see if we can get these fucking peckerwoods to fucking eat this. But they were eating it. It looked like they were eating it.
They're like pretending to eat it.
So that one's. I'm just throwing that one out there for you, trying to get ahead of the curve in case that becomes a Southern classic.
A new trend.
Yeah, just in case that becomes a Southern classic.
That's going to be the avocado toast of 2021.
I'm mentioning it because that whole concept is fucking plausible. That's fucking plausible. That's like something somebody in Mississippi would eat.
Well, I mean, the thing about it
is it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
I've seen weirder things like that. You know what I mean? Where it's just kind of like shit that you wouldn't really think would go together. Like especially something that's fried, like deep fried. Yeah. Like a deep fry. And if you deep fried fish, that doesn't really have a super, super strong flavor. You know what I mean?
He said that's some barely GED cuisine right
But not gonna lie, I kind of want to try it now, just out of curiosity.
There might be onto something because
I could get some fish nuggets and then I could just put a little bit. I'm not gonna buy like a whole big thing.
You would think that fried chicken and waffles wouldn't be good, but that's been looking at it's very good, very good. We've been getting it on the bone. The chicken's on the bone.
Yeah.
I've also seen it basically in the form of chicken tenders on top of the waffle. And then you pour a bunch of butter and the syrup on it. Yeah. That way it's easier to get a cut.
Yeah.
Where you get chicken and waffles and everything and the syrup and the butter on the same forkful. You know what I mean? That way you don't have to debone it.
Right.
You know, and it looks a lot better. Because you wouldn't think that that's good, but as soon as you have it, you go, oh, no, that's very good. It makes a lot of sense when you taste it.
Yeah, it's like I think people initially, I mean, not so much nowadays because it's kind of proliferated. Yeah. But I think when chicken and waffles first started kind of like filtering into the mainstream consciousness, I think a lot of people were like, what? Chicken and waffles? Yeah. What the fuck? But it's like, all waffles are, it's just a quick bread.
Yeah, it's bread.
And fried chicken, people have been putting honey on fried chicken like forever. Yep. And that's really good. Like sweet sauces, on meat goes together. So it's like, it's not as weird as it initially seems.
No, if you've ever had honey on chicken, then you will instantly like maple syrup on chicken.
Yeah, because it tastes pretty
very
similar.
Close. If anything, I think the maple kind of is an enhancement over the honey. Because it kind of blends in with the seasoning in the crust. Yeah. In the breaded crust. You're like, oh, okay. Because it makes more sense when it comes in contact with salt. Yeah. They go, wow. There's a resonant frequency that comes out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have the bread along with it. But it's a fried bread. And the texture is perfect for that chicken grease. And it's perfect for the, the maple syrup to be inside that bread. You're expecting it to be in that bread. It all just blends perfectly. Yeah. It's only strange when you first kind of hear it.
If you just think about it.
Yeah.
then it sounds weird. Because I thought when I was a kid, the first time I heard about it, I'm like, what? That sounds really weird.
Yeah.
Although then I didn't really think, then I was like, well, wait a minute. When I was a little kid, we used to love those Eggo waffles. Yeah, just me and 11 from Stranger Things. But we used to make sandwiches out of that. You know what I mean?
Tigger's going, I can't see real black people eat. What's the educational system like in Mississippi? That's some barely GED cuisine. And she's going, I'd rather eat a pod out of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. All right.
I don't. You know what though? I'm kind of like thinking about maybe for science, I might try it out. But don't if it's not good. Like don't tell
I
anybody.
gotta look back into
trolled.
it. You know what I mean? Maybe other people have reviewed it and they're saying now they're fucking with us. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing though. I feel like for a while, I don't know if it's such a thing anymore, but for a while there was kind of a trend of doing like weird ass ice cream flavors. It's like, oh, what's it? Bacon ice cream. It's this, that, and the other thing. And it's fish flavored ice cream. And a lot of that was just like, stunt food.
Yeah.
Just to get publicity or whatever. But some of them like turned out kind of good.
Yeah. It had the bun. You could see the fillet, the fish fillet in there. And then on top of it, I could see like a smashed scoop of cookies and cream ice cream. And it's dripping out of there. And I could see she was holding it in them big old long fingernails. Yeah. They were eating it.
I don't know. Maybe it's good.
Maybe there's something
I'm not gonna hate.
Maybe there's something about the salt. There was cheese on it too, so maybe there's something about the saltiness of the fish and the cheese mixing with the sweet, cool creaminess of the ice cream.
It's almost like sweet tartar sauce.
Like, yeah, something like that.
I don't know.
It's
I'm just
fucking bizarre.
shit.
The educational system. What's the educational system in Mississippi? Okay, it's a trip. Depends on where you live. It's kind of self-segregated. The public schools are pretty much all black. You can Google Heidelberg High School, and that was the one that was right near my dad's house. And when I grew up, and it looks like a beautiful high school. Okay, you have to understand, the country parts of Mississippi, black people are experiencing the 1950s. It's like something out of Happy Days. They got their own cars. They date. They live in all the towns. Nice little towns. They got the high school, and the high school is just like all black. There's no white people that live in those areas, but it's nice, real nice. You'll see. And they go to the army and the military and come back home, and it's like that. It's pretty much all American. It's also kind of religious. There's Baptist churches. The crime rate is extremely low. It's Black Mayberry. All right. The white kids now are all gone. My dad is the last white guy in Heidelberg, Mississippi, is my understanding. And they take care of him, He was dying of a heart attack on his front porch, and the neighbors across the street grabbed him and got him out of there and visited him in the hospital. Everybody gets along. It's not what you would think. Southerners in the country basically get along. But when there were white kids there, which they've all grown and gone, they went to a place called Heidelberg Academy, which was a little private school. But there was maybe the total amount of kids that went to that school, there might have been 60 of them at any one time and that was like from kindergarten to high school. They're like a total of 60 of them. So you're talking about a little tiny school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tila said the oddest ice cream flavor we've tried was garlic ice cream. Yeah, I remember there being kind of a thing for that, like at the garlic festival. Yeah. She said it's not bad after you've eaten garlic all day.
Yeah.
And then Camp Guy said he used to work at Captain D's. Every now and then, I get a hankering for Captain D's. We have one probably about 7 or 8 miles from here. And, man, sometimes you just want to go up there and get some fried green tomatoes and some fucking fried ass fish and some hush puppies and shit like that. Mm-mm.
And then Tila goes, I think Mississippi has the highest black population. Yes, it is. It's the blackest state. I think it's 33%. But they're some of them are concentrated in Jackson. The rest of them are spread around central Mississippi in kind of like villages. But they used to be German towns, German villages like Heidelberg. But all those people died and their descendants moved away. There's just no jobs there. So that's usually what ends up happening. Everybody ends up moving away. I predict that those black people, when they graduate from high school, over time, they will just move away. And they're kind of being replaced by Vietnamese and people from Mexico.
Yeah.
There aren't any industries to keep large populations there. So you're always going to be limited in what you can do in a place like that until industries move in. But I don't think that'll happen. The biggest industry would be Masonite Corporation, and they're logging. So industrialization is not something those big corporations would want. They want to use that as logging territory. They don't want to build things, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a very different life. It's a good life. It's the people in general are raised to be kind of traditional and kind of conservative and moral and upstanding, whether black or white. The white people from that area are kind of like the closest thing that they'd be kind of like South African Boers. They're kind of like that, even though they're not really a minority, but they're kind of like that. It's kind of like they're white people living in a black country. It's kind of what they think of themselves as, but they're the majority though. It just seems like that from their point of view.
Tila said her paternal grandparents are from Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
My grandmother's biracial. It was very hard for her growing up. Yeah. They migrated to Illinois because there was no jobs in Mississippi for them.
No. Yeah, and that's the big problem in Jackson is that there's no industry to support Jackson. Jackson is becoming kind of like a miniature version of Detroit. You have to get out of there. There's no reason for a big city there. And if you're the kind of person that is not willing to move, you're going to be trapped there. The only place that has a future in Mississippi is Biloxi, Gulfport, the Gulf region where the casinos are. The rest of it's going to be country life from here on out if you're a farmer. But it's just that state is not going to be an industrial. It's just not worth it. It's rural.
Yeah.
It's country. That's what
it's for. Like I said, it'd be farmers and people that like retired out there.
Yeah, right. And they want to keep it that way.
Camp Guy says, my dad always used to take fresh cucumbers and onions and soak them in vinegar and serve them in small crudité trays. Yeah. Yeah, we always had that kind of stuff too.
So what's next on the list?
I think barbecue is next.
Everybody knows about barbecue.
That's what I'm saying. So let me scroll down a little bit. Yeah. There's deviled eggs, barbecue, country ham.
Everybody knows about that.
Shrimp and grits.
All right, you talk about shrimp and grits. Shrimp and grits is grits with shrimp in it. Seasoning is of your choice. Okay, what else?
Well, I think we talked about shrimp and grits a lot because I posted that picture on Instagram of getting it at Chantel's, and it was like out of this fucking world. It was so fucking good.
Yeah.
They don't have that at night though. They only have that in the daytime. I think the next thing was fried green tomatoes.
Okay, yeah, fried green tomatoes. All right. Those sharecroppers, a lot of what they grew out in the back of that house were tomatoes.
Yeah, because tomatoes will grow all over the South. And it's really, really easy to grow them.
Easy to grow, and you have a lot of them. The problem is that you can't eat a tomato until it's ripe. Well, you might be hungry, and it might have a lot of green tomatoes out there.
I don't want to wait for this shit. This is bullshit fucking nature.
It's bullshit. Am I going to wait? I'm hungry now. I'm not going to wait another 3 months for these suckers to get red. So you can go out there and take some of them and pick them because they're big. They're still the size of an apple. Okay. So you're going to pick them anyway. But if you eat them, they're fucking terrible. First of all, they're too hard and they're kind of bitter. But you could fix that if you slice them thinly and fry them. Batter them, roll them in cornmeal and fry them. Mm-hmm. And now you got something you can eat. And it tastes kind of like fried zucchini.
Yeah.
That'd be the best way to describe it. Like
they do okra kind of like that too, which is pretty much the only way that I'll eat okra.
Yeah. Although okra has a very different texture.
That's true.
It's a lot closer to fried zucchini.
Yeah.
And you could eat that with a piece of ham or a piece of meat or anything and then have a dessert, some cobbler after it. And you knocked down 3 or 4 of these fried tomatoes. And they were fried in bacon grease, so they have a nice flavor. And they had some cornmeal on them, and you felt like you ate a meal. Is it nutritious? Not really. But it did fill you up, and you ate it with some other stuff. You ate it with some protein, and
it's better than not eating. It was better than not eating. There was some protein, like you said. There's some vegetables in there.
Yeah, you ate it with a piece of ham. Maybe you had some country fried steak, which is some cube steak, fucking beaten out and flat and fucking.
God, we ate so much cube steak. When I was a kid.
Yeah. We might have that. I don't know. We'll have that. We'll talk about that. the southern version of filet mignon was fucking cube steak, which is cheap.
I mean,
tough,
super cheap.
Super cheap, super tough meat. Beef. How do you eat that? Well, you could braise it, you could slow cook it, but that takes a long time.
Yeah, fuck that.
All right. You're trying to cook a piece of meat right now and eat it 10 minutes from now. How do you do that? Well, you cut off a piece about this big. You put it on a cutting board and you pound it with a hammer. With those tenderizers. Pop, 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 both sides. Beating salt and pepper into it too. And then you take it, might hit it with a little bit of egg batter or egg wash. Throw it in some seasoned flour, and then throw those pieces in a pan, fry them up, one side then the other, bacon grease. Put it on a biscuit, pour some gravy on it, eat it. Fantastic.
Done and done.
Done and done. Right.
That's right.
And it's a flavorful, chewy, but it's not tough because you powdered it with the tenderizer, and it's kind of like a deep fried hamburger. Kinda. No. Like a deep fried steak. That's the best way to it is kind of like a hamburger. Kinda.
Yeah. Esther brought up chicken fried steak, which I guess we could do. Yeah, it's a similar kind of thing. That's kind of what we're talking about. It's just the chicken fried steak usually has that gravy on it.
Gravy on it. Yeah, white gravy on top of it.
But yeah, it's the same kind of thing where you just like beat the hell out of the
the white gravy is just a backable based flour based gravy. It's used bacon drippings with some butter. You fry some what do you call it? Flour in there. You make a light roux. Pour cream in it to fucking bring it out to a nice whiteness. Now during all that time, you had cracked peppercorns usually and some salt. So you want some black pepper in it. Maybe a little bit of cayenne if you want some flavor. And you pour that over anything. Pour it over grits. Pour it over hard boiled or what do you call them? Scrambled eggs. Over an omelet. Whatever.
Yeah, that's your southern omelet right there. Putting that gravy on there.
Right.
I'm just laughing because the name chicken fried steak is like really funny because I remember like when I was talking to some British people or they were here and like they were looking at a menu and they're like chicken fried steak, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, is it chicken? Is it steak? Is it? And I had to explain. I'm like, no, it's beef, but it's fried like chicken is fried. I don't know. It's like it's a very confusing name. You know what I mean?
You're gonna fry it like you fried chicken.
Yeah, exactly. But it's steak.
They're tricking you with words. What's on there next?
So we talked about fried green spinach, pecan pie.
Yeah, pecan pie. We used to eat it a lot. Pecan pie. It's very eggs, pecans, sugar, and then a homemade pie crust, which is easy. It could usually it's flour and mayonnaise. You can turn that into a crust and then you put it in there because it's got everything you need for a mayonnaise thing. You fucking cook the crust first, pull it back out, see what it was. It was actually, you put in a bunch of pecans and then you could pour maple syrup or caraway syrup in it. And some eggs. When did eggs? Yeah, beat up some eggs, I think. Been a while since I've seen the recipe. And then bake it. And beautiful.
Pie.
Beautiful.
So good.
Great with ice cream or whipped cream. But pecan pie, yeah, pretty much unbeatable. A lot of places in Mississippi, you can just find pecans laying on the ground as long as the deers don't get them. You go to the pecan tree. When pecans are laying on the ground because you're going to see deer out there.
Because the deer also
love
pecans.
Yes.
Because pecans are delicious.
Yeah, you might want to chase them fuckers off and go through all that.
I can make a pie with shit.
Yeah, you can tell them once if they haven't eaten, they're still closed. You could go up in there in the tree and pull some of them down too, and you make a pie with that.
We always, at Thanksgiving, do a pumpkin pie and a pecan pie.
Yeah, or sweet potato pie too.
Yeah, you can do sweet potato pie also.
Yeah.
I think the next thing on the list was chicken fried steak, but we already talked about that.
About it.
Yeah, chicken fried steak, that was the next thing. Pimento cheese, we already talked about that too.
Pralines, yeah, okay, pralines. That's butter and sugar turned into a candy, basically. Butter and sugar, and pecans. Yeah, pecans. Yeah, pecans.
Yeah.
You need wax paper for it. You make this stuff. It's almost kind of like you cook it in a pot. You're almost making caramel. It's basically making caramel. It's a very primitive caramel, and you put some pecans in a little pile and you put them on a pile on top of your wax paper and you pour that on it, drizzle it on there with a ladle, and it'll cool, and they'll cool into little things that'll come off the little candies.
Yeah.
All right. They're most commonly found in the United States broken up inside ice cream called pralines and cream ice cream. And you can put pralines inside of a bowl and pour cream on them and eat them.
You eat them like cereal.
Like cereal. You know,
diabetes.
Yeah, you know. And it's cooked sugar. I mean, it's kind of, you know, they're on the verge of being a little bit grainy, you know. If it's done right, they'll have a little bit of texture to them. They're delicious. The recipe's pretty easy. I mean, I'm just off the top of my head. I don't remember all the little steps you had to do. They're easy to make, cheap, and delicious, and real bad for you.
They are, yeah.
Real bad for you.
Camp Guy says, have you ever made microwave peanut brittle? It's funny because I was just going to mention peanut brittle. I didn't even know you can make it in a microwave. I've made it from scratch before, but it's been a long time, and I burned it a little bit, but it was still good. I really, really like peanut brittle, too. I mean, and pretty much anything, like, dessert-wise with nuts in it, shit, man. I'll put pecans or peanuts or stuff like that on pretty much anything. I put them on salads. I put it on everything.
Camp Guy thinks that it's a hot mixture of sugar, molasses, and pecans. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's variations, but yeah, you can make it. I mean, you know,
I thought it was butter was in there too. There's variations. We have to see, but the recipes are online. You can just choose one. There's classic ones, and then people are going to dress that up. There's another one that's probably not here. My grandmother used to make them. They were called cocoons.
Yeah,
Remember those?
Yeah, I think me and my mom made
cocoons. Were little cookies shaped like a little cocoon. And they were little shortbread cookies that had walnuts inside of them, ground up fine walnuts, and they were rolled in powdered sugar, and it had a lot of butter in them. The butter would seep out of the cookie and go into the powdered sugar and make almost kind of like a glaze on them. They were, if you guys have ever had those sugar lemon cookies, those lemon drop cookies, they were like that, but instead of lemon, they were little they were walnut. I think they were walnuts, either walnut or pecan.
I could eat my weight in lemon cookies, seriously.
Another one that was real common that we used to have, it was called, I think it was called ambrosia. Ambrosia salad.
That's kind of big in the Midwest, too, I've heard.
It had mandarin oranges, I think pineapple, coconut.
Yeah, that's shredded coconut.
Sweetened
coconut.
Cherries. And you kind of would stir it up in a mixture of, it was whipped mayonnaise and whipped...
It's usually Cool Whip. I think we usually use Cool Whip.
You could use Cool Whip, but I don't think that's what we used. I think it was a mixture of mayonnaise and cream cheese.
Yeah.
And then it had once it was whipped, you mixed it up in there, and then you put mini marshmallows in it.
Yeah.
God, this shit was good, man. It was real good.
That seemed like somebody would always bring that, like, for Thanksgiving or really Christmas. Because it's super easy to make. You just, like, open up a couple cans of, like, fruit, open up a bag of, like, sweetened coconut pieces, and, like, fucking...
Sounds kind of gross, but it's chilled. It's real cold when you get it. You put it in a bowl, and it's just kind of cross between a gelatin dessert. Well, there's no gelatin in it, but it's kind of like something you get with, like, ice cream, kind of a... experience.
Yeah, but not as dense.
Not as dense.
And there's like a lot of fruit in it.
Yeah.
And some people do like a variation that's green as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they just put green food coloring in it or if it's like pistachio or something like that. I don't know what they put in the green one. We never had a green one, but I've seen other people.
Another one I saw a lot was that lemon icing bundt cake. It was a round cake with a hole in the middle of it with lemon icing on it. It was a lemon. It was like a deep lemon cake with the cake. Oh man! And they would just take pure lemon juice and mix it with icing sugar and pour it on the top, and it was lemony. It would send you through the roof. It was beautiful. Yeah. Real heavy, dense, moist cake.
I really love lemon. Yeah. Anything, honestly. Yeah, Esther said ambrosia salad is big where I live in Philadelphia.
Is it? Okay,
yeah, I'm pretty sure like that might have. I don't know if it's like an out west thing, but I'm pretty sure I know the Midwest had a big thing with it, and it's a Southern thing a lot.
Yeah, and Southerners eat that. Yeah.
You know, so I guess like mid-Atlantic, I guess, is kind of a big. So I've heard it called different things too, but I think ambrosia salad is the most. It's hilarious to me how like all those mid-century cookbooks, they would call this stuff salad that was clearly not a salad. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was just like let's cut up some carrots and put them in Jello, and like make a Jello mold out of it. Yeah. And it's like they call that a salad. Which I thought, I was like, why do they call that a salad? It's clearly not a salad.
Tammy's saying these foods are like reliving my childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like what we grew up eating, man.
Yeah.
That
I can't believe we lived as long as we did.
I know.
My dad, when he was a baby on a bottle, they would give him milk, but there was also a bunch of bacon grease they put in there. That's what they were like.
Make you grow
make you big and strong. Make that bacon big and strong. Yeah, every one of them, every little bottle they gave my dad probably had like a teaspoon of fucking bacon fat in it. That was just the way they were, man. They would think, oh, they make him healthy.
Yeah.
Man, they'd probably fucking lock you up for fucking child abuse doing that nowadays.
Probably they would.
Bacon grease? You know what are you trying to do?
Then babies can't eat that.
Yeah, well, they can eat it. It's just the shit. You're gonna clog that baby's arteries.
That's what I mean.
Make him strong.
Yeah, that's.
It was the thinking of the time.
I guess. They weren't really.
Make him strong and healthy.
Another thing that I was thinking of that we had at holidays a lot was gooey butter cake. I've also seen it called ooey gooey butter cake.
I don't remember that one.
But my grandma used to make it. It's so good. But seriously, you can only eat 1 or 2 pieces a year because it's like really, really, really rich. Yeah. But we'd always like try to make my grandma make it for Thanksgiving. Well, she'd always make it for Christmas, but we always try to like talk her to make it for Thanksgiving too. But she would always act like it was this big ordeal, like she didn't want to do it. Yeah. But then she would usually do it anyway. But it's just you can make it. I mean, you can make it from scratch, obviously, but a lot of people make it with boxed cake mixes, but then you add stuff to it.
Yeah.
And then you like it's really, really good. It's like it's kind of a thin. It's more of a bar than a cake, really. But it's really, really rich, and then you eat it with like powdered sugar on the top. It's really, really good.
Tina said people were using bacon grease as facial moisturizer too.
That probably works.
They were also putting mayonnaise in their hair as conditioner.
Yeah, or beer.
Leave it in there and hold it in there for a while.
Hey, anything.
And then they'd rinse it all out, and you'd have your hair all fucking moisturized. Yeah, that was the thing chicks did though. Guys didn't care.
That's my mayo hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dom the Bomb's like bacon, fat, and milk with a little puking emoji.
Oh yeah,
keto baby.
Yeah, it's like a keto baby. Yeah,
keto baby.
Well, in my dad's generation, if a baby was fat, then it was healthy.
Well, yeah, that's what you wanted. You want a little scrawny ass baby. You wanted a big fat baby. You wanted a big bowling ball size baby.
It'd be like,
you need a big substantial baby.
Yeah, he's gonna grow big. Yeah. He's gonna grow big. He's the size of a butterball turkey already. Yeah, he gonna be a big one. Yeah.
That is totally how I thought. Like honestly, they were in a way, like I said, it's not good, but if you weren't eating a lot, they thought there was something the matter with you. Yeah,
and the idea of that generation is that the more fuel you threw into that fire that was the baby, the taller and the more healthy and the stronger it would grow, like a tree.
Which kind of makes sense.
It was like a tree, like a tree. So, and you want what did you want to give him? Something that'll make him gain weight.
Yeah.
So bacon grease.
Keto. Because you can grow out this way too.
Right? He'll come out like this, and then he'll go like that. He got all that fuel in there. Launch him up like a rocket. That was the thinking. This is kind of a magical thinking. The South was full with magical thinking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the culture.
Yeah. I remember, like I told you, I think I told this story before. My grandmother, she was like she was real thin, amazingly, even though she ate like that her whole entire life because she was from Tennessee. But she never got over 120 pounds her whole entire life. But she famously would not drink anything other than Coca-Cola. Yeah. She drank Coca-Cola with every single meal. She used to think I was weird because I didn't drink soda. I would just drink like water and milk. And she'd be like, "Don't drink water. That's bad for you." She's like, "It'll rust your pipe," she said. Yeah. She used to tell me when I was little.
What was funny is that, growing up, going into Mississippi to visit my dad every summer, and then going back to California to live with my mom up until 1981, which I was about, I guess I left about 15, something like that, 14, 15. There was a difference between kids in California and kids in Mississippi, big time in the build.
Yeah,
just a big time. Kids in California were just kind of medium build, kind of slender, athletic type, because they were active and they kind of had a little bit more of a normal diet, and like I say, they were more suburban,
Yeah.
So they had suburban standards on things. Mississippi was weird in the 70s and the 80s. it was something kind of like out of one of those B movies, you know. It was extremes in some ways, in ways. Either they were really scrawny, looked like they were fucking malnourished, or fat, or just corn-fed, healthy, corn-fed women, you know, which looks good on a 15, 16, 17-year-old, you know, but by the time 22 comes around, a lot of times they were overweight. But when they were teenagers, they looked real good, you know, because your skin tone is strong enough to support weight, you know. It hadn't had gravity. It didn't start taking over. So it was kind of funny. They're looking back on it. They did kind of have extremes, which you didn't see in suburban California.
Yeah, like I said, I think on the West Coast, even up to nowadays, there tends to be a more active outdoor lifestyle, you know, so especially like up in Washington or Oregon, like everybody's like riding bikes and climbing mountains and shit like that. So I don't think the obesity rate is as, plus they eat, like you said, they eat a different diet out there.
Because they were physically active in Mississippi. They were out playing, they were doing stuff. It's just what they were eating. Some of them weren't eating anything of any nutritional value. So they were just really skinny.
That was a big problem.
Other ones were eating stuff that was, like I said, you know, real heavy in bacon grease and cheese and mayonnaise and stuff, so they get overweight.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
They were running around, but they were getting fat. Some of them looked kind of like those girls that I was showing you that were on fucking test, where they were fucking big.
Yeah.
Big bones, but their bodies were supporting it, you know. What a black dude would call a Becky. You know, lots of Beckys, you know. This is like a farm girl, white girl, you know, Becky, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, Tila says she got them big legs.
Yeah,
very popular saying with older Southern men.
Yeah, big legs, big hips, big boobs. Actually, like my type. Becky's, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, he likes them.
I like a Becky look. Yeah.
With the big old boobs and a big old ass.
Yeah, like some. I like a woman. I like the proportions that Frank Frazetta would draw, like that.
I think the last thing on the list, unless you want to think of something else, is cornbread.
Yeah, cornbread. I don't think there's much to say about cornbread other than most people who've had cornbread outside the South have had only fake cornbread. Last time I went to Mississippi, I even found fake cornbread in Mississippi. My dad was just going, God, this ain't no fucking cornbread. This ain't cornbread. This is that Yankee corn cake. Because, you know,
it's much sweeter.
Yeah,
like, because Southern cornbread is not. I mean, the corn cake is good too.
Yeah. It's just outside the South, Mississippi and Louisiana, Alabama. They've sanitized cornbread into something that y'all foreigners can eat. Okay? They've made it like a corn flavored sweet cake, you know, and then they'll give you some butter that has had. Whipped butter that has honey in it to even make it sweeter. That is not cornbread. Cornbread's only about an inch thick, maybe a little bit more than an inch thick. It's basically unleavened. It's very dry and very gritty and coarse. That's cornbread. It's designed to sop up fucking pot liquor and things like, you know, things out of your damn collard greens and
your red-eye gravy.
It's meant to absorb things, and it had its own consistency. It was, I think it started off as something out of necessity, probably Civil War, where all they had was cornmeal and like a couple of things, like maybe some lard. And from that, you try to make something to eat, make some kind of bread out of that. It's almost like more related to a stack of corn tortillas, one on top of the other. Not quite, but it's, I would say it's bad. Real cornbread is kind of bad unless you grew up eating it.
It's one of those things
in context.
You
have to see it in the context of the meal that you were being given, you know, to go along with it. It's a side. It's something you're dipping into a bowl, and you might have a bunch of collard greens and the juice from the collard greens, and you're dipping a slice of cornbread in there and getting it out of there like that, you know. Becky loves it.
Do you guys remember, I don't know if you ever had these, but every now and then we would have, because a lot of times when my grandma would make cornbread, but if she didn't feel like making it, they also used to sell these cornbread squares. They were about the size.
Yeah.
They were about the size of like a regular slice of, white bread or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were just like perfectly square. They were a bit sweeter. But we usually had those. She would kind of pop those in the oven and then like make those with she'd have that with like the country ham or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they're talking about hush puppies, which are also delicious. Yeah, fuck yeah, hush puppies.
Hush puppies are a modified cornbread. They're just dropped into
pretty much, yeah.
Into the what do you call it? They're basically cooked in fish juice, or it's bacon and fish. They're frying bacon in. They're frying fish in bacon grease, and then after the fish is fried, you're dropping in spoonfuls of basically seasoned cornbread mix with some other stuff in it to make a hush puppy. So it's a mixture of bacon and fish. Oils have cooked that hush puppy. If fish wasn't involved, you'd never really have a real hush puppy. And the idea was just you threw those to the dogs to keep them satisfied.
Yeah, hence why they're called hush puppies.
Yeah, because dogs are barking and wanting some of that.
Give me
fish.
some of that shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But then they realized they were good, so they started.
It's like,
making
never mind, I'm keeping those for myself.
Yeah.
The dog can't have it.
Yeah.
And the dogs are like, oh my god. I thought I was going to say something, but I forgot what it was. Something to do with, I don't know if it was anything to do with hush puppies. Oh no, I was going to say, do you guys, I don't even know if they still sell this, but when you're making cornbread, did everybody's like moms and grandmas use like that Jiffy cornbread mix?
Yeah.
It was like white, is white on the front and like blue on the side.
On the sides, yeah.
And then, my grandma always had like a bunch of those.
It was quick and easy to use. They used that.
Yeah. In the cabinet. That was always she always had tons of those.
You had to be careful because back in the late 70s and in the 80s, even in the 80s, I remember that the Jiffy cornbread mix would arrive already with boll weevils in it sometimes.
Yeah.
Remember that? You had to check it.
I think we did have that happen once or twice. Now that you're mentioning it, I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah, they'd get pissed. It's already got the goddamn boll weevils in it. That's my last box. All right?
God damn it! Now I gotta go back to the Winn-Dixie.
Yeah, yeah. You go get some more of them, and two of them already have fucking weevils in them. They were getting infected at the Jiffy factory. Yeah. That was back then, though. It's probably not like that anymore.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that, but now that you mentioned it, I do remember that happening when I was a kid.
Yeah,
like not super frequently, but
every now and then.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's probably all the food we got to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to say too, because we didn't stream yesterday. We had a little minor disaster with Beijing yesterday.
Yeah, you can tell that one.
Oh my goodness. Well, what happened was, like, Tom comes rushing into the office. He's like,
man, fucking Beijing's eye.
Her eye popped out.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like, and he was like, I don't know if she ran into something. It's like, it looks like her eye's gone. Oh my God.
Yeah. That's not what it was, though.
No. Well, yeah, they ended up, like, when we looked at it closely, when you looked at it more closely.
It was then, what they call it?
Conjunctivitis.
Is what it
conjunctivitis.
Was. And it was a piece of flap of, like, an inner lid. It was covered the eye. I thought it was a damage to the lens, but when I went back and looked at it again, it wasn't. It was just
because I think he looked at it really quick and was like, her eye's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
she was sitting there. It was. She had it kind of closed, and it was tearing, and she was coming to me for help. And I said, "What do you got?" And I opened it and went, and I jumped back, and she looked at me like, "Oh, it's got to be bad." So found the locals, the nearest one here. She knew that it was bad because I brought the damn cat carrier and she didn't run from it. She stayed right there. And I came back later and put her inside the cat carrier after I put a new towel in the bottom of it. Because I don't know why, but the towel from her last visit was still in there. So I put a new one in there. And she didn't even jump out. She's like, yeah, I need to go to the doctor.
She knew she had to go to the doctor.
But it wasn't anything major. Then they put her ass on steroids. She's running around fucking trying. She's on performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, she's totally like, woohoo! She's running all over the house.
And I'm like, I know exactly how you feel, babe. She's fucking running up the fucking stairs. Going, feel great, I feel great.
Woo! Like, her eye looks so much better, compared to yesterday. But yeah, it's conjunctivitis, which is very, very common in cats. Yeah. It's just that I didn't see her, and then, like, Tom just comes running in the office going, her eye's gone!
I thought the eye was gone. Yeah.
Like, he was wigging out, and I was like, what? No, no. And I was like freaking out. I thought like maybe Pookie had like poked her in the eye, or she ran into
I thought she hit something.
or or like ran into something in the house, or like a plant or something outside.
It was just a fold of skin had covered it from the inside of the eyes, the swelling. And it looked like a damn piece of the lens.
It looks bad. If you look up like pictures of conjunctivitis.
Most of them don't look bad, but then I hit one. It goes, that's it right there.
Yeah.
And so
conjunctivitis. Well, actually, a lot of times they said it'll go away on its own, but obviously they like to give the kitty medicine so it doesn't hurt them and stuff. But then it's funny because so this morning, Beijing was like feeling a little bit better, but I was like, well, let's just let her convalesce or whatever. And she was sitting on the dining room chair, which she likes to like underneath the tablecloth. And all you can see of her is her little foofy tail like hanging down. So I'm in the kitchen making coffee and I see Pookie like come around the corner like all shifty. And then she looks at me and then she looks at Beijing's tail hanging there. And she's like, oh. And then she looks at me and I'm like, don't you do it. I said, she's not feeling good. Don't you fuck with her tail. And Pookie's like,
yeah.
And then she kept looking at me. I'm like, don't you do it.
Yeah.
Don't you do it. Because she was like, and she kept going, like she really, really wanted to like go over and fuck with her tail. But she didn't in the end. I was like, please don't.
I gotta make sure the ice maker's working. I've been fucking with this damn ice maker for 2 days.
Yeah, our ice maker on our refrigerator.
Yeah, it wasn't working right. I think I got it right now. The thing wasn't pushed in the right way.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, Tila said, oh, she just needs antibiotics, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
she's on antibiotics and she's got eye drops and she's on
a steroid.
A steroid like to make her feel better.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's been like jumping off the walls.
Yeah.
Today. She even like tried to like escape when I went to take the garbage out. She was like, phew. I was like, hey, get your ass back in here. She came back in like right when I said it though. I was like, get your ass back in there. She was like, okay.
She just got a lot of energy. She's feeling good.
Yeah, that's good. I was just like, I'm so glad because I was really alarmed. I thought her little eye popped out. But yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow probably talking about a movie, one of two. I don't know which one we're gonna watch, but we have a couple lined up. So, Tom, you gonna say bye?
Yeah, I'm gonna say bye, but I'm gonna check the ice maker.
Okay. All right. So we'll be back tomorrow at 3:00. So have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.